Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday. It's Tuesday already. I'm your host, Paco LeBron. This is the place to learn how to run your IT business, whether you're a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host. We have none other than Rick Smith over at Renactus Technology. Rick, how are you today?
Doing good, Paco. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. How are you?
Man, nobody will listen if they're going to try and complain. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
exactly. That's
but
why I don't even do it.
Yeah, no, things are good. Was a little under the weather late last week, but ended up shaking that off. So other than that, I am good to go. But before we go into today's topic, I want to talk about my favorite thing, and that's TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is this September 16th to the 18th at the Hilton Rosemont Chicago O'Hare. There you will learn from other like-minded business owners in panels and breakout sessions, key takeaways from partners and vendors in the space, and experience that one-to-one hallway conversations where we've been told the magic happens. Tickets are $299 until April 4th. I'm sorry, tickets are $299, but you can take advantage of the early bird special of $199 until April 1st. So take advantage. You got about, what is that, 9 days, 10 days or so, if my math is wrong. So head over to techconunplug.com to go ahead and secure your ticket today. All right. So we took a week off. I think we both were just out of town and just running around with a bunch of stuff going on. What did you do with your time off?
I actually went to Europe. I went to I went to Germany to visit my oldest daughter who's over there in a language in a program over there. Basically, I'm sorry, I never get the name right if I say it. So, but she's been over there. She's over there for a year. She's been over there since July of 2021. So we missed her here. So we got together, and my other two daughters were on spring break at the same time. So we packed up the stuff, got on a plane, and flew to Germany. Had a good time. Had a great time, actually.
The question is, did you have any beer over there while you were there?
Everybody asked about the beer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't want to offend anybody from Germany.
Oh,
It is not what it's cracked up to be. So I will say, everyone says, hey, you got to go to Holland, you got to go to Amsterdam, or you got to go to I forgot the other one right now, and go to the monastery where the monks make beer. That's supposed to be the best places to go. So I will say this: we spent some time because you can hop around Europe. We did spend some time in London as well, actually on St. Patrick's Day. So I ended up at an Irish bar having some what is it called? Fish and chips.
Okay.
A couple of beers there, which they have some great beer there.
Okay.
And ran into a couple of guys celebrating who bought me some Irish whiskey.
Nice.
Funny thing is, hey, what is this? I said, what is this, Jameson? He goes, you're such an American. No. But it was a good time. It was a good time.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. Well, mine wasn't as eventful as yours. I actually was out at CompTIA CCF, their community council forum. This event's a little bit different than ChannelCon because there's no vendor pitches. Basically, it's just kind of explaining about their community and their councils. Really cool stuff. It was good to see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of local IT techs here, IT business owners. Randolph, Jason over at JTG, Henry Tim over at Phantom IT Services. So a lot of the locals that we've seen in some of the other circles was there. A lot of good vendor friends were there as well. Amy Luby from Acronis, Larry Meter over at I believe it's Data Stream. He's over at a new insurance company. He used to be over at CDNet and Greenlink. So really great to see all those. Oh, and Juan Fernandez was really good, who we'll have possibly later this week. But yeah, a lot of great people. It was great to talk to everybody. Obviously, shenanigans afoot with CompTIA kind of taking care of us. So with really great events, really great knowledge and stuff. There was a cool thing that they released. I guess they have an ISAL. And if you listen to the last Channel Pro episode, they kind of talk a little bit more about this. But basically, it's like you're getting a lot of like this threat feed information of what's going on in the world with this collaboration of all these cybersecurity threats. So it's like a daily email of stuff and updates that they give you. So it's actually pretty cool. Um, but yeah, so was there for those couple days. To Wednesday, Thursday, I actually headed out to visit my daughter in Ohio, who was in her first play. So that was actually pretty cool. And then just fighting this bug. So other than that, pretty good so far. But obviously the reason that we are bringing this up is because this is a known or issue or thing that comes up with those of us that are maybe the only person doing on-site visits, or you may be just the one person show kind of running your IT service business, and you want to be able to take a vacation, or you want to be able to take some time off or go to commitments, or if you have a sick day, what do you do? And so the topic of this show is to hopefully give you some ideas of when I was running it around solo, Rick giving some ideas of what we did when we were away to kind of make sure that we patched as much of the support as possible for our clients, and making sure that it was as seamless as possible when you were away. But so I'll kind of throw this over to you, Rick. As you were kind of planning your trip out, what were some things that you kind of had to think about? Because you had a couple things, right? You had you weren't going to be here locally for any issues that you may need to physically go on site, but you also had a time difference as well. So what were some of the things that you had to kind of take into consideration to just even contemplate and being able to go abroad?
Well, one of the first things, I want to go back to something you said.
Okay.
I would love to get to the point where I could take a day off, a week off, a month off, whatever I take off, and really take it off and not worry about it. And that's really the goal. You'll find somebody to cover. You'll find somebody, if you have a team, you'll have them do all the work. But the real goal of all of this for us is to really be able to get away and mentally get away as well. We can physically take ourselves anywhere around the world and, be somewhere else, no matter the time difference, the distance away. But our mind is still focused here. And the goal, as I continue to build my business, is going to be, or is to be able to take a vacation and don't think about Renactus technology for a week, or at least 2 days, 3 days, something where it's not on my mind constantly. But to get back and answer your question, yeah, it was an interesting concept. We got there. It was a 6-hour time difference from Germany to New Jersey, where I'm at. Daylight savings time was Saturday in the States. Germany doesn't celebrate daylight savings time until this coming Saturday. So then the time shift went to 5 hours, which is very interesting. So it was, it's just getting used to that, So that's the one thing. So basically, at I can't do the math here. 8 o'clock in the morning in New Jersey, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Germany or something. If I did the math right, I think I did the math right. Yeah, I did the math right. So that's also the issue, because then come 11 o'clock here, the day is still 11 o'clock there. The day is still winding down here. So it's a challenge, but what I was able to do was one of the things that I did inform my clients that I was not going to be in town. I informed them that I was going away. I told them exactly what I was doing. I said, hey, if you need any help, you can call the office. Latrice will answer the phone. She'll put in tickets, and we'll get anything that can be solved remotely. We will get that solved for you. If it's something that's physically on site, if it's an absolute emergency, I have someone that can come in and cover. But if it's not an absolute emergency, then I'll be able to come in this week to address it. So it luckily for me, we had a bunch, a few small tickets that we were able to take care of, but nothing major, nothing that anyone has needed me on site. No computer broke, or nobody's internet was down and they needed me to come and do it. So it was actually all in all, a very good week. But it does, when you're away, and I'll just say this, you're always thinking about your business, how to grow it, how to make it better. So I did, realize that, an on-site tech, I've known that I need one other than me, because I shouldn't be running out all the time. Or what if there are two emergencies at the same time? So it is something that is now on the agenda. But in talking to other MSPs here and around, it seems like the good help is drying up, and it's hard to find people who are either consistent or competent. So, I hate to say it that way, but so it's going to be a slog, but it is a goal to get the techs, to get an on-site tech to help me out with that.
Right. Yeah. So that's good because I didn't have that when I was actually on the road. Literally everything was going off. So I actually had two new hires that started on the 15th last week. So I had to set up like their stuff that they were having running into issues with the VPN and stuff. Then we had some internal uh issues with some of the phone systems. So obviously that was always fun. And then we had a couple clients that required like on-site help, right? So some was like there were printer issues that they couldn't figure out, and because their main printer was down. Some others were, and this was like a high volume repair business that needed those receipts to be printed and shit and stuff. And so we had that. We had some networks where some clients, like we literally two clients, their firewalls went down, and these were clients we just took over. So one was just super ancient. The other one we have no clue. It just flat out just went out on itself. Some apparently had conference phones. So we had a whole slew of issues last week. Now, the only luckily saving light was I do have a subcontractor who runs his own business. However, he is now outside of the city. So before he used to be very readily available and he can just go to any of my clients as need be. Now it takes him about 40 minutes to get back into the city, along with being able to get to a lot of these clients. Now, again, luckily for the silver lining for me was that these clients were all by each other. They were literally around the corner from each other downtown. So he was able to go and knock them out one after the other after the other. But, trying to find a contractor or someone that is competent, like you mentioned, is very hard, right? For two reasons. One, just because you got to find the right person that's going to fit with rapport, you can trust, things like that. And then two, they're expecting to be paid, and rightfully
Right.
so. It's not like how it used to be back in the day where it's like you got to work your way up. There's a lot of opportunities nowadays for just everybody, right? Trying to find a job or trying to get something as well. So yeah, we're feeling it too, trying to find somebody exactly. So that's why I ended up hiring two, because I was only interviewing for one role, but I had two very good candidates. And with the way that the job market is now, I just could not risk just not being able to find that role again. So got that taken care of. We had that all addressed, but it leads back into, what did I do to try and prepare for this? Well, the goal was to make sure that everything was as transparent as possible. So we had all our documentation center updated with all our clients' info, make sure that they can poke around and troubleshoot as they need be. We have a couple office moves that are happening. So, making sure that the right products are standardized, right? And being able to make sure that those were ordered, just by clicking on what we normally use and just kind of getting it out there. And really just coordination. I think that's really the biggest piece, is just coordinating on when things are coming in, being able to coordinate it back out. And unfortunately, we had issues with that too. We thought we had some equipment ordered right for the purpose. It was on back ordered. We had to have it shipped. I guess there just wasn't a conscious effort to understand that, hey, if a switch is coming in on Monday, don't schedule the cabling job on Monday, because we don't know when that switch is going to come in
Right.
on Monday. Just little things like that cause a little bit of nuances, but I think in general it just shows that you really got to have that communication and that coordination available. And like you said too, like it would be great for us to take off and not worry about the business, and really focus. But sometimes, just with everything that's going on, a phrase that a friend of mine likes to say, actually Juan Fernandez, is that if all roads lead to Juan is the problem. So, and that's kind of where this ended up happening, where if all roads led to me, I got to figure out how to get myself out of that chain, right? And
Right.
figure out how to best do that, which it presented me with new issues that I thought I had prepared for. So that allowed me to kind of figure out, go back to processes, figure out how to get this better. And really, a big thing, I think this really, my fiance is probably the one that hammered this the most on me, is that you got to let them do their thing. Like, you can't just try and make sure that you can be the savior to kind of pick at things and figure out what's going on. Like, they got to learn, right? And I think that's the other biggest piece we got to figure out too, is that over analysis paralysis is going to get to the point where if you don't pick someone and you don't act and you don't do it, you're going to continuously keep going through the same process over and over and over again, and not have any type of peace, be able to take away for a little bit. I'm going to attempt to do that at the end of May. We'll see how successful I am for that. Will I come back to something completely on fire? Probably. But how many extinguishers were used to make sure that some of that fire didn't spread as far as it could have? That's, I guess, the best way to kind of really explain that. So, you just can't prepare for everything, right? And there's only certain things you can do. But why don't we go into a little bit more on some of the things that we specifically did, and try. So I think you mentioned that you went ahead and outsourced a lot of, or delegated some of this to Latrice, on your admin or your office manager, to kind of answer some of the phones. What did you equip her on, some of the things that maybe she would have had to leverage with you, but you being not available, she would have to kind of address it herself? What were some of those things that you kind of empowered her to be able to do?
Well, it goes back to the same thing. You gotta, and I struggle with this, but it is one of those things you gotta release the rain. So I told her, I said, I need you to, you've seen me operate, you know how I do things. Just prioritize what, and and we've had this discussion a lot. Every client who calls, their problem is immediate and an emergency. It's up to us to determine if it's a true emergency, right? We don't want to ignore
Yeah.
anyone. We don't want to blow off anyone's problems, but we have to prioritize what comes. So I had to trust, I had to trust her. And I said, hey, if you need to pick up the phone and call me, if something is you don't understand or something you're unsure of, pick up the phone and call me. But at the same time, I'm trusting you to make the right decision. So luckily, I'll say two things. She did what was asked of her, but no big emergencies came. I think the tech guys were smiling down on me last week, and kept things pretty quiet. So it was pretty good. The only thing that I'd say that happened, and we just missed this, was I had a client email me, and he wanted some time for me to help him do some stuff. He wanted to schedule an online appointment. Now I didn't see. He sent it to my email address, not the support line or not our info line, and I didn't see the email. So he sent it. He sent two emails. And so maybe one of the other things that I should have done was give her access to my email so she could see that as well. And that's just one of those things you learn as you go along. So then at least we could have informed the client, hey, um, Rick's not here right now. Rick's out of the country right now. If it's an emergency, then, we can get some time for you. If not, we can work on it. We can schedule something for next week. Luckily it wasn't an emergency, but it's just one of the things we missed. I didn't think about the fact that someone might email my personal email address for support.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that happens to me all the time, because people just don't respect boundaries. But what I do is I normally put it on an autoresponder, and I'll just say, if this is an IT matter, email here. If this is a billing matter, here, email here. I will get back to you when I get back to you. End quote. So that's how I've kind of handled that point. And I also, on the onboarding process as well, I make it an effort for them to understand you need to communicate through these channels, or there will be a delay in your service, right? Because in this case, like for example, let's say there is someone that's a solo one person shop that's trying to do this, and they do decide to take time off. You know, the suggestion would be to have some type of general inbox, right? So that you can forward or give access to another subcontractor, or be able to forward out of that email box to someone, or even hire an answering service temporarily for the week that you're gone, or whoever's picking up your calls, and having access to a general mailbox when you build that trust, or again through a ticketing system of some portal. I mean, there's so many ways you can
Right.
figure this piece out, or even down to just creating a custom Teams, channel, and having synchro tickets or PSA tickets, or kind of going into that channel, notifying that person, and whoever's helping you can look at that and then kind of act accordingly, right? So definitely plenty of ways to kind of solve that. But yeah, like you said, like, so that I'll leave my voicemail. Hey, not here. Don't leave a voicemail unless I'll get back to you when I get back to you. Out of office response as well has really helped me out, because then they know, right? Because you got an auto response. I've informed you on the right proper ways to do this, and during onboarding, I've explained to you on how to better do this as well. So I think for this, it allows us to get, at least for me, not to worry about it that much about that. Um, but that's kind of how I stand from that, at least from on that standpoint.
And what's interesting about it is this: I've been a solopreneur for a long time, so now I'm into the employees portion of this. So I have never, in all of the years that I've been in business for myself, used the autoresponder because I've just always known that wherever I'm at, I'm going to have to answer email. I'm going to have to answer the phones.
Okay.
So, but it is a good point, and it's actually an excellent point, and it's one I did not even think about is the autoresponder, which would have made sense, which would have alleviated the issue with the client thinking he was being ignored. He was one of those, "Hello, is this thing on?" He's
Yeah,
sending
right.
email messages, but so it is. So coming back, seeing again, like I say, I'll knock wood and say is there was no major issues, nothing we missed, no catastrophes, no nothing. But there's still some things we can take notes of now and say, hey, we can improve this, we can do this. Like now I'm going to add autoresponder because I still even after coming back, I didn't even think about the autoresponder. But
Right.
it is a good point.
Yeah, so that's just one thing that's helped me out, especially just trying to communicate that out. Second, I've always had an answering service just because I knew I could never just answer all the calls, and my worry was I'd be on the field somewhere, and not be able to get to a client call. At least here, they heard a voice, they got a message going. There's some type of answer in the psychology of doing that as well. So, now obviously I have people to pick up the phones. You had your someone to pick up the phones, but answering service is also a good opportunity for someone to that's very cheap. Like, you can find an answering service that you can pay on a per call basis. It's a lot more expensive doing it that way, but if it's temporarily, you can guys do it from that. In my opinion, it's very hard to find a good answering service. I've used Go answering service for many years. They've been pretty good for that. I've heard people mention Ruby, Answer Connect. Trying to
Money
think some other
penny.
ones. Money Penny. Yep, I've heard about that one as well. So there's plenty of other ones that you can test out and figure out from there. Obviously, this is different from white label help desks, so definitely a different piece. But yeah, just someone to answer the phone or whatever. Or you could do it like how John did for over 30 years. He just had his voicemail, and the voicemail said, "I will get back to you as soon as possible. I'm on vacation." And what he would do also is he would contact his clients and let them know that he's going to be out of town, right? So there's an opportunity of being able to go ahead and say, "Hey, I'm going to be out of town. Just so you know, if there's anything urgent, I will be looking at it from time to time. I'll have, a friend, a colleague monitor what's going on and get back to you as well. Here's his information if you need to reach out to someone. I think Joe K over in Fort Wayne does something like that, similar, where he has someone that helps him out if he can't make it to a certain place, and things like that. So, but yeah, that's another alternative, is to find help, and find a subcontractor. I mean, we have a great community over at the Facebook group for those that want to find someone local. There are other great Facebook groups where you can find someone that may be in your area. You might build a rapport and you can leverage them to be able to help you out as well. I found a lot of success in doing that when it comes to like on-site cabling, you name it, it's helped us out in the long run, especially when we try to just make sure we could support everybody and keep up with everyone's setups, goals, things of that nature. Anything else that you may have done or set up prior to you taking off, or did you just kind of just said, "I'm going to Germany"?
No, actually, no. We that was pretty much it. I made sure, again, you go through Wednesday, Thursday. My flight was Friday evening, so I spent Wednesday, Thursday, Friday making sure, everyone was, to the best of my ability, everyone was set and what they needed, what they would need. And again, one of the things I did, I communicated with my clients. I let them know, that I was going to be gone, because they are used to getting me, used to calling, getting me, used to me showing up. So I let them know I'm going to be gone. Here's what's going to happen. We'll still get you service if if there's anything that's an emergency. The remote tickets we can handle immediately. Any on-site stuff is where the challenge will be, but if need be, we can get someone there as well. But it went, again, I knock wood that it went smooth. Again, as I continue to grow and develop policies, procedures, this will get easier, because again, I'm going to go back to this. I took a physical break, but it was hard to take a mental break. And we need that. Like, we all we need that balance, that mental break away from worrying about this all the time. And then the crazy thing is, sometimes I think it's borderline obsessive, because when I'm not, stressing about the phones or worried about a ticket, then I'm sitting out, writing out plans, writing out, we got to change this, we got to fix that, I got to address this, I got to address that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just the general life of the entrepreneur, trying to get get your business to a point. But, my goal is to be sitting in this chair next year and be a little more detached from the business. Not, a little more detached is the right choice of words for that.
Yeah, trust me, it's hard. I've removed myself from the help desk emails, so I don't even look at that queue anymore unless I'm reviewing the ticket queue and the PSA. I don't even see the emails. I will look at them after hours, as every so often, just to see if nothing's on fire, but I don't even bother looking at it anymore. And I will tell you, it is exhilarating and frightening as all heck, because it's one of those where it's like you've been in there for so many years, and now you have someone else that are two. I have two techs that are looking into this and trying to treat it as their own, right? And again, there's different personalities. There's work culture clashes on how to do certain things. Like, we just had a conversation of, my techs hate Windows out of box experience, and they find that it's a pain in the ass to try and figure it out for the client and walk the client through. But where I have realized is, okay, maybe it's my fault for not prepping the customer on what they need to do when they receive the new laptop, right? And giving them maybe a one pager or an explanation video or something like that, right? And really understanding where the frustration is coming from and come with a happy medium, because our plan is to fully dive into Intune and Microsoft Endpoint Manager for all of our clients, with the exception of those that are on Google Workspace, which we have like 2 clients that are on that. So we're using Jump Cloud for those environments, but for hybrid environments and things like that, because we haven't found a really good way of utilizing Intune and Google Workspace without just buying an Intune license and just managing it from there. But all in all, like, just having that conversation and trying to figure it out has also helped see things differently, right? And figure out what's the best way to kind of do a lot of that as well. Um, but now that we kind of brought up the fact of, how to do things and do different things, we actually got a question in the one in the last YouTube video. It was from a gentleman named Weston. And basically he was just asking, I'm going to paraphrase, but he left a comment that it wasn't related to the video. He's looking into fixes like for any type of technology or all type of technology and electronics. And he was asking, should he take classes or should he teach himself? He's always wanted to learn how to fix electronics, but he just doesn't have the knowledge to do so. I have my version of what he should do, but Rick, what do you think? What's your opinion on what Weston should do?
Well, here's my thing. I first think he needs to. I would suggest you figure out electronics is a large category, right? So maybe we need to narrow down the focus. If it's tech related, then 90% of my hardware is 90% of my hardware training is self-taught, right? My network training was from the professional side, but and I've always just been curious about things. So I've taken apart clocks and just about everything as a kid, growing up.
Oh, so you were the one that was getting into everything, and your mom just has to knock the sense in you.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
You give me a screwdriver, it was danger. So so you do learn that way, and self-taught is is a good way. It's just it's time consuming. So
yeah.
I would say this: I would answer the question two ways. One, you may want to narrow your focus to what you mean in the electronic category, and then two, if you can afford it, for time's sake, then take classes, because then you will get the knowledge of someone professional teaching you something, and it won't take as much time to learn. Now, if you can afford it, or you are just that self-starter, go-getter type person, then yeah, teach yourself. And there's the great thing about it now is you can learn anything with YouTube and the internet. So sometimes it's wrong. So I will tell you that you got to learn. We all learn that, but anything's out there to learn on YouTube. And then again, there's there's in-house classes, in-person classes, or there's probably some great courses you probably could just find, which I would assume would be cheaper to learn electronics that way. But my primary thing would be to narrow it down as to what you want, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I'm YouTube, baby. I'm self-taught, and even worse, my basic training / learning was from a mentor that was also self-taught. So I got all of his bad habits from just learning that piece, right? Exactly like you said, you got to watch, if you're doing the YouTube route, you got to make sure you watch the full video, because that son of a gun will rip a cable and you're following the process up into that point. He's right. Like, oh, I just ripped this. Don't follow this. And instead of this son of a gun editing the video, he lets you go for the ride and make the same mistake as him, right? So you got to watch the whole thing. You got to go to that. What I will also say is there is plenty of courses that are available as well. I would definitely check your public library to see if there is any online resources that they have available. IT Pro TV has a lot of live courses that you can kind of take into effect as well. But I think circling back to what Rick said is that you got to figure out what tech and what electronics you want to take advantage of. Go down the route of, all right, is this something I want to do? Go through the courses, check out some YouTube videos, take some serious courses, look at them. You can go to Skillshare. I forgot, there's some other ones out there that are kind of like training videos and stuff like that. And really immerse yourself into it. And if you really feel like this is something that excites you, then go for the courses, go for some, get some certifications if that makes you fancy, because I feel like going for certifications help you learn better It puts you under pressure to figure out what's going on. I put my guys through MS 900, which is an understanding of Microsoft 365, because they were from the telecom and the security camera field. So they were just diving into the MSP training, or the IT service providing training, and they never done IT service service and troubleshooting and support in general. So what I had to do was, because I didn't have the time to train them, because I'm trying to piece everything else together. So this was a great medium to help me for them to do that. But again, I think that you really got to figure out what you want to kind of dive into, see if you love it, and then start furthering on how do you get better at it. I think that's the best way to do it. Other pieces, there's plenty of groups on where these are linked to as well. Like, we have a great community here, but there's thousands of communities that you can find on Facebook, Reddit, etc., to really dive in and ask questions. There will be a community that will be able to answer some of these questions that you may have, or you can search for some of the questions that may have been asked that you're kind of thinking about. And you'll be able to find the answer there as well. So I'm all about self-taught, but and diving into the seriousness when you really feel like that's what you kind of want to do. So, all right. So I think this is going to be more of a quicker, smaller show for the day or for the week. We will be back, I believe, Thursday. I did get a call from that guest there. It was going to be Juan Fernandez, but that may switch up. So we will keep you posted on that. But we will definitely be back next Tuesday at our new time at 6:00. But before we round out the show, Rick, is there any lasting thoughts you want to leave the audience before we sign off?
Go buy your tickets for TechCon. Again, you guys know, if you listen to me, you will hear this all the time. It's the same thing, but we're still working. Things are still in flux. We've got, the agenda's pretty much, we're pretty much there. Vendors are pretty much lined up, but what we are still doing is taking input from the community. We are still, because again, this is our thing, for text by text, and this is for tech/business owners by tech/business owners. But I really just encourage you guys, tell us how we can make this better, how we can make it a great experience for you, so you can get some great learnings from it and help our peers do the same. So again, reach out to us, info@mspunplugged.com, rick@mspunplugged.com. We'll take all your comments, suggestions, and as we meet and go through and try to set the agenda, we definitely keep it all in mind.
Very cool. Yeah, we love to hear your input. Let us know, what do you think about the latest format, new time, the back and forth, as we kind of go back to some stories that we kind of go through, and lessons that we kind of bring back from what we've learned in the week, in our journeys, etc. If you want to be a guest on the show, head over to mspunplugged.com/contact. You'll be able to submit a form right there, or you could just email us, info@mspunplugged.com. We'll take your information. We'd love to have you on the desk have you on the show for a time for Tech Talk Tuesday. We would love to hear your experience. Again, doesn't matter where you are in the journey, because you can learn from someone that is running their business part-time or after hours from their full-time job, all the way to someone that's been doing this for well over 25 years. I personally believe, and this is a lesson I learned from Jeff, is specifically, you can learn something from everybody, because everyone has somebody to share. So tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. You can watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged or on facebook.com/MSP Unplugged. Go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the notification button to be notified whenever a new episode is available. You can also take us with you on the go on your favorite podcatcher app. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Again, we thank you for listening, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.